certain skill that perhaps one needs to progress rapidly, in addition to being perhaps competent. And that's just knowing how to navigate the organization. And each organization's DNA is different. Each organization's culture is different. And when some of those elements need to be factored in, instead of pure performance, you can broadly call that politics at the workplace, and it exists everywhere. And what I found is that I didn't possess those skills, and that's why I ended up moving on to doing something on my own. And I found that to be an incredible waste of energy, because I don't think it did anything for shareholders. I don't think it did anything for customers. I don't think it added any value, and it was just a waste of one's life in terms of indulging in those activities. And maybe that's one of the reasons I wasn't great at it, and didn't get into the orbit that perhaps some of my peers got into. And I don't think it's restricted to any specific gender. I think they happen across the board. It's a hugely wasteful expenditure of energy. It happens across the world. It's not unique to Indian companies or international companies. And maybe some of the specifics are a little different, perhaps in India, where privacy is not held in that high regard as it should. For example, a woman might get into an interview, and if she's not married, she may or may not face the question of when she's going to get married, which is a completely illegal question. But nonetheless, I'm sure, and I've heard a lot of my friends who've gone through this process have been asked this question. And so there are things that might be specific to our culture over here that one needs to deal with. I don't think there's a silver bullet in terms of addressing it and hoping that it will go away. I think some people just have it in them as an innate attribute that they can handle such stuff. Some people use it positively, some people use it negatively. So there's no silver bullet to sort of suggest that this is the best way to navigate it, because it's layered in multiple levels of complexity, starting with the country you're in, perhaps the industry that you're in. If you're in investment banking versus if you're in shared services, the completely different cultures. And then within those industries, there are companies which have very strong cultures, and within the companies there are divisions, and within the divisions there are specific bosses. So it's a layered level of complexity, this whole issue of politics at work. And I don't think that there's a singular answer in terms of how you can manage the politics in a workplace. I wish that the world worked in a sort of pure meritocratic way, but it doesn't, and it'll be naive to believe that it does. And like I said, I don't think it's restricted to any specific gender. Not at all. I've actually had, most of my bosses have been women, and exceptionally competent women, extremely fair, extremely professional, very, great combination of analytical as well as, with the softer skills. So I've never felt that, they were better or worse. Because they were women, because I've had a few bosses who've been men, and they've been exceptional bosses and exceptional human beings too. So again, from my own experience, I've never found the difference between having a male colleague or a female colleague manifest itself in my reality. So I've just perhaps been very fortunate, and I acknowledge that the people that I've worked with, for the most part, in most of my career in companies, have been very reasonable folks and extremely competent and very fair people. So I've never had a challenge at all, ever, in dealing with women at the workplace, either as bosses, as peers, as subordinates. In my current entrepreneurial entrepreneurship, entrepreneurial venture. I deal with dozens of partners. Many of them are women. We've again had very great relationships, very professional. You know, so I've never really faced an issue in working with women in any way, shape, or form. I think women of today are doing really well, and they're on a fantastic path. They're getting educated, sometimes better than men. They're getting jobs just as well as men are. They're getting promoted. They're experiencing the world. I'd say just continue on that and never ever believe that the world is different because you're a woman. I think to me that's a very obvious statement, but the more I sort of speak to women, sometimes I find that they seem to have self-limiting beliefs, and for the life of me, I can't understand why. Perhaps that's not being very empathetic, but my submission would be that women are out here. It's a reality. They're going to continue to compete in the workplace. They're going to continue to contribute. They continue to lead the workplace. And I don't think it's only the CEOs or the CXOs of large organizations. I think it's right from I remember one thing that I noticed in my first trip overseas in the early 90s. It was in Indonesia, and I noticed a petrol station where the petrol attendant was a woman, and it just surprised me. I was probably 16 or 17 at that time, and when I see that at a petrol bunk today in India, at a Shell petrol bunk, right out here in Whitefield, that there are women attendants, I know that the country has made sort of huge progress across the spectrum. Of course, it's very easy for us who are educated and who work in professional organizations to look up to the Indra of the world and similar sort of leaders. But I think the revolution or the transformation has really begun probably over 15 years ago, and women are have really gained a lot of empowerment through their own I think efforts, and there's also certainly an evolution of society which has made it a lot easier, and I think they just really need to very, very confidently continue marching down that path. So no advice, but just do what you're doing, and I think the world will be at your service.